The Galactic Council had watched the stars for thousands of years. They had seen supernovas explode. They had seen ancient empires rise, grow powerful, and then turn to dust. They believed nothing in the galaxy could surprise them anymore. They were wrong. It started as a small signal at the far edge of mapped space. Near a quiet trade route, a deep space monitoring station detected something strange. The signal was weak at first, just a soft ripple in space. The station AI marked it as an error, but the ripple did not disappear. It grew slowly, quietly. Space began to bend. Gravity waves moved in perfect rhythm, not like a natural storm. This was controlled, artificial. The alien officers inside the station felt uneasy. One officer leaned closer to the screen. That pattern. It's too stable, she said. Another officer laughed. Probably human engines. They are always testing something. It's humans, the newest members of the Galactic Council. Emotional, loud, unpredictable. Not dangerous, at least. That was what everyone believed. The station sent the data to the council. Within minutes, scientists from 5 different species were watching the growing distortion. Then the first shock came. The distortion expanded faster than predicted. Stars behind the ripple began to stretch. Light bent around something massive that had not yet appeared. One of the oldest council elders whispered, "Increase magnification." The screen zoomed in. Darkness filled the center of the distortion, not empty space. Something was there. Something. Huge. Then space tore open. It did not explode. It folded like fabric being pulled aside, and from that fold, metal emerged. At first, the council thought it was an asteroid, but asteroids do not move with purpose. Asteroids do not glow with engine light. The shape kept coming. Long, wide, endless lights appeared across its surface. Blue lines. Bright and steady mass readings started rising. 10 kilometers, 20, 50. The system overloaded. Warning alarms filled the council chamber. That cannot be correct, a scientist said. No species builds ships that large, but the numbers kept climbing. The object cleared the warp fold completely, and the council fell silent. It was a ship. No, it was a moving fortress, flat across the top, layered with structures, towers, weapon mounts, and launch bays. The bottom glowed with massive engines, each one larger than a destroyer-class vessel. Smaller ships surrounded it, like guards around a king. But the smaller ships were not small. Each one was the size of a battle cruiser, and there were many dozens. Then, hundreds more warp folds opened behind the first one. The dark sky, filled with metal. The monitoring station tried to scan weapon systems, rail cannons, missile arrays, shield generators, fighter launch decks. The AI stopped responding. It could not process the scale in the council chamber. No one spoke. Finally, someone asked a question. No one wanted to say, "Who does that fleet belong to?" The answer came from a young data analyst. Energy signature matches. Earth. The room exploded with noise. Impossible. Humans do not have that level of industry. They can barely manage border patrol fleets. The analysts swallowed. The signatures are confirmed. Human design. Human metal composition. Human reactor pattern. Silence returned on the main screen. The massive central ship adjusted position. Its engines pulsed once. Gravity of its movement shifted nearby debris. Fields, an entire asteroid belt, trembled. Then something even more shocking happened. The ship launched. Fighters, not 10, not 50 thousands, they poured out in perfect formation, like a swarm of steel birds. Each one moved with precision. No chaos, no confusion. This was not a test. This was a statement. A transmission signal suddenly appeared across every council. Frequency.clear.strong.com. A human voice spoke. This is United Earth Fleet Command. No anger, no fear. We are conducting a military demonstration. The council leaders stared at each other. Demonstration. The human voice continued. For decades, the galaxy believed humanity was weak. The massive carrier rotated slowly, revealing its full length. It seemed to go on forever. We allowed that belief. More warp folds opened behind the first fleet. More carriers appeared, larger, heavier, each one casting shadows across nearby stars. The sky near the monitoring station grew dark, not from clouds, from ships. The human voice remained steady. We do not seek conquest. A pause, but we will not be ignored. One of the elder council members leaned back in his seat. He had witnessed 3 galactic wars. He had seen planet killers. He had seen weapons that burned atmospheres. But this felt different. Those weapons destroyed. This fleet controlled. It dominated space itself. The analyst whispered, "Mass estimates suggest these carriers could survive direct stellar bombardment." Someone else asked quietly, "How long have they been building these?" The answer came from silent calculations. Years, maybe. Ks, Tades, hidden in deep space, beyond trade. K roots, beyond scanners. Earth had not been weak. Earth had been preparing. On the screen, the largest carrier moved forward slightly. Its engines brightened. Stars behind it disappeared completely. The sky around the monitoring station went dark. One officer at the station looked out of the physical viewport. He had grown up believing the galaxy was stable, balanced, safe. Now he watched as human war carriers filled the heavens. He whispered to himself, "The galaxy never saw this coming." Back in the council chamber, the human transmission ended with one final sentence. "Humanity stands ready." The signal cut, but the fleet remained silent, waiting, and for the first time in recorded galactic history, the most powerful species in the universe felt afraid, because the sky had gone dark, and it was Earth that had done it. Before the day the sky went dark, humans were not important. They were new to the galaxy, only 120 years since their first faster-than-light jump. That was nothing. Other species had thousands of years of history, ancient empires, controlled star systems, long before humans invented radio. Humans were loud in meetings. They argued. They showed emotions. They changed leaders often. The council saw them as unstable, too divided, too young, too soft. When pirates attacked human colonies near the outer rim, the council sent a message of sympathy. Nothing more. No fleets. No protection. Humans must learn. One council leader had said, "They are not ready for galactic responsibility." The pirate alliance was cruel. They did not just steal resources. They destroyed cities. They broadcast fear across open channels. Human worlds burned. Trade ships vanished. Colonies called for help. And the council watched. Humans demanded justice. They asked for joint military action. The answer was always the same. Your species must prove itself stronger. So humans stopped asking. That was the moment everything changed. At first, nothing looked different. Human ships still patrolled their borders. Their diplomats still smiled in council chambers. Their news networks still showed political debates. But deep inside their systems, something else was happening. Earth's governments, usually divided, made a rare decision. They united, not publicly, not loudly, quietly. A single project began. It had no official name, no press release, no celebration, only a simple goal: never be helpless again. Asteroid mining increased by 300%. Old shipyards were expanded. New ones were built in dark regions of space where long-range scanners rarely looked. Human engineers worked without sleep. Factories on Mars ran day and night. The moon became a shielded destruction site. Massive pieces of metal were moved into deep orbit. At first, alien traders noticed small changes. Human cargo shipments became heavier, more industrial materials, less luxury goods. But no one cared. The galaxy was busy with its own politics, wars between older empires, border disputes, power struggles. Humans were still considered minor players. Then human trade slowly reduced. Fewer civilian ships left their core systems. Tourism stopped. Cultural exchange programs paused. Even human music channels on galactic networks went quiet. Some council members noticed. Most did not. Years passed. Pirate attacks suddenly stopped. Not because the pirates were defeated, but because human colonies became harder to approach. Defense stations appeared in perfect positions. New weapon platforms guarded jump points. Human patrol ships became larger, stronger, but still nothing compared to ancient fleets. The council assumed humans were simply improving, trying to survive. No one imagined what was truly being built beyond known space. Far from trade routes, in a region of dark nebula clouds, something massive took shape. Its structure stretched across kilometers, layer upon layer of armored plating, reactor cores, placed deep inside like protected hearts. Engine arrays designed to bend space itself. Thousands of workers lived their entire lives on construction platforms. They never returned home. They were part of something bigger. Children grew up seeing only metal walls and distant stars. They believed they were building humanity's future, and they were right. The project leaders made one rule clear: no leaks, no signals, no outside communication. Even internal networks were separated. Every worker knew only their small part of the design. Only a handful of commanders saw the full blueprint. The first completed section was tested quietly. A gravity engine larger than anything humans had made before. When activated, nearby asteroids shifted position without physical contact. The power was real and terrifying. Back in the council chamber, years later, after the sky went dark, its old data was reviewed. Trade logs, mining records, energy readings. The truth became clear too late. Human energy production had doubled 10 years ago, then tripled, then multiplied again. But they had hidden it within civilian industries, masked as infrastructure upgrades, masked as colony development, masked as climate stabilization projects. They had built a war machine under the cover of progress, and no one had stopped them. Now, as the massive carriers filled the stars, one council scientist spoke softly. We mistook patience for weakness. Another answered, we mistook silence for surrender. On the outer edges of council territory, civilian ships watched in fear as human fleets passed. They did not attack. They did not demand tribute. They simply moved with purpose. Each carrier escorted by destroyers. Each destroyer supported by fighter wings. Perfect formations. No wasted motion. No chaotic movement. This was not the work of an emotional species. This was cold planning, generational planning. On Earth, inside a secure command center buried deep beneath the ocean floor, human leaders observed the galaxy's reaction. No cheering, no celebration, only focus. One admiral looked at the fleet projection. For decades, he asked for protection. He said quietly, we were told to grow stronger. He looked at the screen, showing the massive carriers. We did. Back in the council chamber, a final report was delivered. An estimated number of human star-crushing carriers, unknown, confirmed, 12 visible, possible, more hidden, estimated industrial capacity, enough to build more. The council had believed humans were still catching up. Now they've realized something worse. Humans had not been catching up. They had been surpassing silently, patiently, and when the moment was right, they revealed everything at once. The species no one feared had become the power no one could ignore. And the galaxy began to understand a dangerous humans. Humans do not forget. Humans do not forgive easily, and when pushed into a corner, they build. The galaxy was still in shock. Human war carriers had appeared without warning. The council was still arguing. Some wanted peace talks, some wanted sanctions, some wanted to prepare for war. But before any decision could be made, something happened. At the far edge of human space, near the broken remains of an old colony, a pirate fleet was gathering. The same pirate alliance that had burned human worlds years ago. They believed humans were only showing power to scare the council. They believed it was politics. A show, nothing more. The pirate leader, Commander Vrax, stood on the bridge of his flagship. He was confident. Humans are emotional, he told his crew. They act big when they are afraid. His fleet was strong. 30 heavy cruisers, hundreds of attack ships, planetary bombardment weapons. They had destroyed human settlements before. They believed they could do it again. Their target was a rebuilt mining colony near the border. Small, lightly, populated, easy. The colony sent a distress signal. It reached Earth Command instantly on the pirate flagship. Scanners suddenly detected a warp signature. Large, very large. Rax smiled. One patrol ship, he said. Destroy it. Huh. But the readings kept growing. The pirate sensor officer froze. Sir, tease, not a patrol ship. Space ahead of them bent inward. Not violently, not wildly controlled, like door opening slowly. Then darkness appeared in the center of the distortion, and something stepped through. The first human war carrier. It did not rush forward. It did not fire immediately. It simply arrived, massive, silent. Its size blocked the nearby stars' light. The pirate bridge became dim. Shadow covered their fleet. Frax stared at the screen. The carrier was longer than his entire formation. Its surface was layered with armor plates. Weapon towers rotated slowly into position. Fighter bays opened like deep metal canyons. Then more warp signatures appeared too. Destroyer escorts. Then 4. Then 8. They formed a protective ring around the carrier. Perfect formation. No panic. No noise. Just discipline. Vrax felt something new. Not fear. Not yet. Uncertainty. He opened a channel. This is Commander Vrax of the Free Claw Alliance. You are entering pirate-claimed territory. No response. The carrier remained silent. Then thousands of small lights ignited across its surface. Fighters. They launched in waves. Not random. Not messy to precise lines of attack craft. Spread across space like a metal storm. The pirate fleet moved into combat formation. Fire all forward batteries. K's ordered. Plasma bolts streaked across space. Missiles launched. Energy beams cut through darkness. The human carrier did not dodge. Its shields activated. Its faint blue glow surrounded it. Pirate weapons struck. Explosions flashed. When the light cleared, carrier remained untouched. Shield strength stable. Vrax felt cold. Target the escorts. Pirate cruisers focused fire on one human. Destroyer. Rail cannons fired from the destroyer. Solid metal rounds accelerated to impossible speed. They tore through pirate shields like paper. One cruiser split in half. Stately. No dramatic explosion. Just destruction. Clean, fast. The carrier finally moved. Its main spinal cannon aligned. The weapon stretched along the center of the ship's body. Energy gathered. Even distant ships could feel space vibrate. A pirate officer whispered, "That weapon is too large." The cannon fired. A beam of white light crossed space in a second. It did not explode on impact. It erased. 3 pirate cruisers vanished. Not destroyed. Gone. The remaining pirate ships panicked. Their formation broke. Fighters from the carrier moved with perfect coordination. They disabled engines, destroyed weapon systems, targeted command ships first. Within minutes, half the pirate fleet was debris. Vrax tried to retreat. full power to engines. The gravity shifted. The carrier's massive engines created a controlled gravity well. The pirate ships struggled to move. They were trapped. The human fleet was not chasing. They were controlling the battlefield itself. Vrax realized the truth too late. This was not revenge. This was demonstration. Hey, message the carrier, transmitted on all open channels. Humanvoice.com. This region is under protection of the United Earth Fleet. Another pirate cruiser exploded. This is your only warning. The remaining pirate ships shut down weapons, one by one. Engines powered down. White surrender signals activated. The battle had lasted 7 minutes. 7 minutes to erase the most feared pirate alliance in that sector. Across the galaxy, sensors had recorded everything. Council observers watched in silence. There was no wild human shouting, no emotional speeches. Just efficiency, precision, power. The carrier did not pursue, fleeing escape pods. It did not fire on disabled ships. Instead, smaller human vessels moved in. They secured prisoners, collected evidence, rescued human hostages from pirate holds. Order. Control. Discipline. Commander Vrax was taken alive as he was escorted from his bridge. He looked once more at the human carrier outside the VIEWPORT. It was not just large, it was unstoppable. Back at the council chamber, an elder spoke quietly. This was not war. Another answered. This was proof. The human fleet did not celebrate. They did not broadcast victory messages when the operation was complete. The carrier turned slowly. Its engines glowed brighter. Space folded again, and the fleet vanished, leaving behind silence, burning debris, and a new truth. The galaxy had just witnessed the first demonstration of Earth's star-crushing war. Carriers. It was controlled, measured, merciless, and every empire understood something very clearly now. If this was only one carrier, what would happen when all of them moved together? The species no one feared had just rewritten the balance of power, and this time the galaxy was watching very carefully. The pirate alliance had fallen in 7 minutes. 7 minutes changed the galaxy. News spread faster than light. Trade stations replayed the battle footage again and again. Military academies studied the human formations. Strategists paused their own war plans because everything had changed. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Every major empire attended, even species that rarely spoke joined the meeting. The main chamber was filled with tension. No one laughed at humanity anymore. A large hologram of the battle floated in the center of the room. The human carrier stood frozen in light projection, massive, silent, dominating. 1. Council General broke the silence. How many do they have? No one answered immediately. Then intelligence reports appeared on the screen. Confirmed. Star-crushing carriers. 12 suspected under construction. Unknown. Hidden shipyards detected in deep space regions. Energy readings suggested more, much more. A military analyst spoke carefully. If Earth built 12, they can build 20. The room became quiet. An older Empire representative slammed his claw on the table. This is a threat to galactic balance. Another responded calmly. Double quotes. No, this is what happens when balance fails. Everyone knew what he meant when human colonies burned. No fleets came when pirates raided their systems. The council sent words, not ships. Now humanity had answered in its own way. Back on Earth, the human leadership did not celebrate inside a secure orbital command station. Admirals reviewed data. Fleet status. Operational losses during pirate encounter. 0. Public galactic reaction. Fear. Caution. Silence. One young officer asked the fleet admiral, "Sir, should we announce total fleet numbers?" The admiral shook his head. Let them guess. Uncertainty was a weapon too. In deep space, far beyond normal travel lanes. Something moved, another carrier, larger than the first one seen in battle. Its hull was darker, its engines brighter. It had never entered public space before now. It slowly activated long-range sensors. It was not alone. Two more carriers drifted nearby, half hidden within a nebula cloud. The galaxy had seen only a portion of Earth's strength. The rest remained in shadow. Meanwhile, one powerful empire made a dangerous decision. The Dravari Dominion had ruled their region for centuries. They were proud, strong. They believed no young species should rise so quickly. Their high commander studied the pirate battle. Yes, the humans are strong, he admitted, but they have shown only defensive action. He pointed at the hologram. They protect their borders. They punish pirates. He leaned forward. They have not faced a true empire. The Dominion ordered a military exercise near human border space. 50 warships moved toward a disputed mining system. They did not attack. They only positioned themselves close. A message was sent. The Dominion is protecting its interests. Okay. The real message was clear. A test. They wanted to see how fast humans would respond. They did not wait long. Within 2 hours, Dominion sensors detected warp signatures. 3, then 5, then 8 human carriers. They did not arrive aggressively. They appeared at long range, but their presence changed everything. The Dominion fleet suddenly felt small, even with 50 warships. The human carriers spread out, not attacking, not threatening, just positioning themselves in perfect intercept formation. Dominion commanders ran combat simulations. Every outcome ended the same way: heavy losses, severe damage, possible defeat. The human fleet sent a simple transmission. This system is under Earth protection. State your intent. The Dominion High Commander hesitated. He could push forward. He could risk battle. But if he lost, Dominion would fall from power across the galaxy. After several long minutes, he made his choice. All ships withdraw. The Dominion fleet turned away. Slowly, carefully. The human carriers did not chase. They did not fire. They simply remained watching. When the Dominion ships entered warp, the human fleet held position for another hour. Then they disappeared. The message was clear. Earth would not invade, but Earth would not step back. Back in the council chamber, reports confirmed the Dominion retreat. Shock filled the room. For centuries, the Dominion had never backed down. Now they had done so without a single shot fired. Quiet voice spoke. Humanity has changed the rules. Another answered. No, they have enforced them. Cross trade routes. Civilian captains began speaking differently. Stay clear of human systems. Respect their borders. Do not provoke them. Pirate activity dropped across multiple sectors. Criminal groups avoided human trade lanes completely. Insurance costs near Earth space decreased. Safety increased. Stability improved. The council realized something unexpected. Human power was not creating chaos. It was creating order. Strong order back on Earth. The fleet admiral looked at a star map. Human carriers were placed carefully, not spread thin, not clustered, strategic. Guarding key jump routes, protecting smaller neutral systems. He spoke quietly to his officers. We did not build these ships for glory. He looked at the image of the burning colony from years ago. We built them, so no one would ever see this again. Deep space. The hidden carriers powered up slowly. Construction platforms continued, building more hull sections. Earth was not finished. They had revealed enough to change the balance, but not everything. The galaxy had seen the strength of human war carriers. They had witnessed their speed, their discipline, their control, but they had not yet seen what would happen if someone forced humanity into total war. And somewhere, in the darkest parts of space, there were empires watching, learning, preparing, because power like this does not go unchallenged forever. The hidden fleet waited, silent, ready, and the galaxy understood one final truth. Earth had not built a fleet. Earth had built a warning. After the Dominion retreated, the galaxy became quiet, too quiet. Trade routes were calm. Border fights stopped. Pirates disappeared. It looked like peace, but it was not peace. It was fear across many empires. Secret meetings began. Military leaders asked the same question. What if humans decide to expand? No one trusted absolute power, even if that power claimed to defend in hidden chambers. War simulations were run again and again. Each time, human carriers appeared in the projections. Each time, the results were similar. High losses, broken fleets, destroyed shipyards. Human carriers were not normal warships. They were mobile fortresses. Each one carried thousands of fighters. Each one had factories. Inside, repair bays, drone production lines, medical centers, command cores powered by advanced AI. Even if damaged, they could repair themselves. To fight one was difficult. To fight many was impossible. Still, fear creates mistakes. In the outer eastern sectors, a coalition of smaller empires formed secretly. They called themselves the Balance Pact. They believed no single species should control military strength like this. Their plan was simple. Strike one carrier, destroy it, show the galaxy that humans were not untouchable. They chose a target carefully. Lone human carrier guarding a distant trade route. It was separated from the main fleet. Far from Earth, they gathered their forces quietly. 70 warships, advanced stealth technology, electronic warfare units, long-range ion cannons. They believed surprise would give them victory. On the chosen day, the coalition fleet exited warp in perfect attack position. The human carrier floated ahead. Calm and silent. No escort ships visible. The coalition commander smiled. Fire everything. A storm of energy filled space. Missiles, plasma, ion beams. The human carrier disappeared in explosions for several seconds. The coalition ships believed they had won. Then the smoke cleared. The carrier shields were weakened, but intact. A low-frequency pulse moved outward from the carrier. It was not a weapon. It was a signal. Moments later, space folded open behind the coalition fleet. Not one fold, not two. 12 human carriers emerged in a wide circle. They had not been far. They had been waiting. The lone carrier had never been alone. It had been bait. The coalition commander's face went pale. He understood too late. Humans had expected this. The surrounding carriers did not fire immediately. Instead, they activated gravity control fields. The coalition ships felt their engines struggle. Navigation systems flickered. Warp drives failed to charge. They were trapped inside a controlled gravity cage. A human transmission came through. Calm, clear. You initiated hostile action against a protected fleet. Asset. No anger, no shouting. Power. Down your weapons. Some coalition captains wanted to fight, but their scanners showed the truth. 12 carriers, over 5,000 fighters, launching rail cannons, targeting critical systems, and something else deep inside each carrier. Energy signatures built slowly. Unknown weapons, unmeasured power. The coalition commander closed his eyes. Stand down, he ordered, one by one. Weapons powered down. Human fighters surrounded each enemy ship, not firing, watching. The carriers moved closer, forming a solid wall of metal and light. The human voice spoke. Again, this is your only warning. The coalition fleet was escorted out of the sector. No ships destroyed, no executions, no public humiliation. The incident was never officially announced, but every empire knew. The balance pact dissolved within weeks. No one wanted to test humanity again. The war had almost started, but it ended before the first real shot. Back in the Galactic Council, tension filled the chamber. Some members were angry at the coalition. Some were angry at humans, but most were afraid of something deeper. Human strategy. Humans had predicted the attack. They had prepared. Bait. They had calculated fear, and they had chosen not to destroy their enemies. That choice was more powerful than destruction. On Earth, inside Fleet Command, reports show complete success. No casualties, no damage beyond minor shield loss. One officer asked the admiral, "Why didn't we destroy them? We had the advantage." The admiral answered quietly, "Because power is strongest when it doesn't need to fire." He looked at the star map. "Our goal is stability, but far beyond the known sectors." Someone else was watching in the dark regions between galaxies. Ancient sensors activated an old species, older than the Council, older than the Dominion they had slept for centuries. Observing, measuring. They believed young species would always fight each other into weakness. But now something had changed. One species was uniting the galaxy through fear and control. The ancient observers studied the data from the coalition encounter. Mass, F, carriers. Energy output, shield resilience. They calculated quietly. Humanity was reaching a dangerous level of time. Strength, and strength attracts predators. One ancient voice echoed through the darkness. "Prepare." Back in civilized space, life seemed peaceful. Human carriers guarded major routes. Trade increased, crime decreased. The galaxy was stable, but stability built on fear can crack. And somewhere in the deep dark, something far older than humanity had begun to move. The war that never happened had prevented chaos, but it had also sent a signal signal powerful enough to wake sleeping giants. And soon the galaxy would learn that humans were not the only ones who could build in silence. The galaxy believed the danger had passed. The coalition had failed. The Dominion had stepped back. Pirates were gone. Human carriers guarded trade routes like silent giants. Peace returned. But peace built on strength is never simple. Far beyond mapped space, in the deep black between galaxies, something ancient awakened. They were not an empire. They were not pirates. They were not political. They were hunters for millions of years. They had moved from galaxy to galaxy. They waited until civilizations grew bright, until energy use increased, until signals filled space. Then they came. They did not conquer. They consumed entire star systems, stripped of life, civilizations erased without warning. They traveled slowly, hidden in dark matter currents, sleeping, watching, and now humanity's rise had created a signal strong enough to reach them. The star-crushing carriers bent space in ways no Q species should. Their gravity engines echoed across the void to the ancient hunters. It felt like prey calling out. Their fleets began to move. Not hundreds of ships, not thousands, but structures larger than moons. Organic metal hybrids, living vessels that fed on radiation. They did not use warp like younger races. They folded space differently, slow, heavy, unstoppable. The first sign came from a distant research outpost near the edge of known space. The station detected stars dimming, not exploding, not collapsing, dimming, as if something blocked their light. Scientists reported strange mass readings, impossible density, moving against normal gravitational flow. The signal reached the Galactic Council. Fear returned instantly. "This is not human technology," one scientist said. The movement patterns were wrong. Too smooth, too ancient. Earth received the data at the same time inside Fleet Command. The Admiral studied the projection. He had prepared for rival empires. He had prepared for rebellion. He had even prepared for united galactic attack. But this was different. The object was larger than a human carrier, and there were many. Long-range scans showed 5, then 8, then 12 massive objects entering the outer rim. Outer colonies began to go silent. No distress calls, no explosions, just silence. A human carrier jumped to investigate. It arrived near a darkened system. The star at the center was weaker than before. Orbiting planets were cold, lifeless. The colony station was still there, but empty. No debris, no bodies, nothing. Then the carrier detected movement behind the star. Something enormous drifted forward. It looked alive, surface shifting slowly, energy blowing across its body like veins. The human carrier locked weapons. The ancient vessel did not fire. It continued moving forward, ignoring the human ship completely, as if it were too small to matter. The carrier's captain made a decision. Fire main cannon. The spinal weapon charged. The beam struck the ancient vessel directly. Space shook. The light faded. The alien structure was damaged, but not destroyed. It turned slowly toward the carrier for the first time. It reacted. Energy gathered across its surface, not like a beam, not like plasma, more like a wave. A pulse of dark radiation expanded outward. The human carrier's shields dropped instantly to 50%. Systems flickered. Warning alarms filled the bridge. "This enemy is beyond pirate level." The captain said calmly. "Send full alert to Earth, across human space." Emergency protocols activated. All carriers were recalled from patrol routes. Hidden fleets powered up. Construction platforms stopped production and switched to defense mode. The galaxy watched in terror. The species that frightened everyone was now preparing for something worse. The Admiral stood before the full fleet projection. 23 carriers active, 7 more near completion, thousands of support ships. He spoke clearly. "This is why we built them. It's not for pride, not for control, but for this moment." Human carriers jumped together for the first time in history. Not one, not 3. All of them. They formed a wall between the ancient Beltals and the inner galaxy. Other species watched. Some offered help. Most could not. Their fleets were too small. Too weak. The ancient hunters moved forward without emotion. They had consumed stronger civilizations before. They did not fear young species, but humanity was different. Humans did not wait to be saved. They did not surrender to fate. They built, they adapted, they learned from pain. The first full battle began near a dying star. 23 human carriers against 12 ancient world-eaters. Space itself seemed to crack under the energy. Human fighters swarmed like metal storms. Rail cannons fired in synchronized waves. Missile barrages filled the darkness. The ancient vessels responded with gravitational pulses. 2 human destroyers were crushed instantly, but the carriers held their shields. Overlapped, their gravity engines countered the alien pulses. They had been built to survive stellar forces. Now they faced something close to it. The battle lasted hours, then days, for the first time since their creation. Human carriers showed damage. Armor burned, engines strained, but they did not retreat, because behind them, the galaxy lived. Trade worlds, civilian stations, billions of lives. The admiral watched the battlefield. His voice remained steady. Hold the line. In the final stage of the battle, human engineers activated something never revealed before, a combined gravity convergence system. All carriers aligned in perfect formation, their engines synchronized. Space folded inward between the ancient vessels, not tearing, compressing. The pressure grew. Beyond natural law, the ancient hunters tried to escape, but they had underestimated human cooperation. The convergence field collapsed inward. A silent flash spread across space. When the light faded, half the ancient fleet was gone. The rest retreated. For the first time in millions of years, the hunters withdrew. Silence returned. Human carriers remained in position, damaged, scarred, but standing. The galaxy understood something at last. Earth had not built star-crushing war carriers to rule. They had built them to guard, to stand between darkness and life, to make sure no colony would ever burn alone again. From that day forward, whenever space bent and massive shadows appeared, the galaxy no longer felt only fear. They felt protection. Humanity had become what no one expected. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but guardians of the void. And this time, the galaxy knew exactly what was coming.